Welcome to the Y&E podcast.
I strongly believe that the biggest problem of farmers in Nigeria is insecurity. People are very scared, to go to the farm. You know, maybe they believe that they will get kidnapped. The kidnappers will demand for ransom, and they may not be able to afford it. And sometimes they even still, not make it back to their families alive, even after paying, you know, the ransom. It's a very difficult situation, and I think Nigerian government, vis-a-vis the president, supposed to be, putting a lot of resources through the NSA, putting a lot of resources into that to ensure that farmers can go to the farm and then take care of their business in order to drive down the prices of products. Because if we keep importing food, if we overlook the situation and keep importing food, number one, it will put pressure on the FX. The demand for dollar for importation will increase. They will, end up killing the local agricultural and farming and distant farming sector. So instead of all of that, depending on importation, because they don't want to deal with the insecurity, they resort to, importing those food like grain from Ukraine and stuff like that. Yeah, I think they should just take care of the insecurity, put resources towards taking care of the farmers and the herders and clashes, and I think they should even go as far as having a designated area for for livestock to feed and the people that are into livestock and farming. I believe that that is a personal business, so people should get a place for their business. If you're into livestock farming, get a farm or get a location where, you have your livestock, you feed them, people will come and meet you there, buy from you if they want to buy from you. If you want to set up a butcher house in that your farm, you can set up a butcher house and people will just come, patronize you instead of roaming the street, instead of taking your livestock into people's farm, destroying their farms, destroying their crop. At the end of the day, they end up kidnapping them and then demand them for ransom. I think it's a very difficult situation. I'm not sure what you think about it.
Yeah, insecurity in general is a problem. Whether you are a farmer or not, if you're an ordinary citizen, you don't have police escorts following you all over the place. You can't afford private security guards to follow you all over the place. It's a problem. And for farmers, especially, this is causing a lot of havoc. It is causing a lot of food insecurity because a lot of people are no longer going to the farm. They rather stay home and look for other means to feed their family members, look for other ways to get money, to go to the market and purchase, raw food to feed their family members because it's a dangerous game out there going into the farm, especially with the insecurity issues we've been seeing lately in our country, and it is sad. And even if you're going from one state to another, if you take a public transportation, there's also a risk of you being kidnapped on the road. You've been stopped by unknown gunmen, and they'll take everything they can take. If you're lucky, they won't kidnap you. If you're lucky, they'll let you go. So insecurity is a big problem in Nigeria. And for farmers, it has actually increased the price of goods, price of food, because a lot of people are no longer going to the farm and also bring raw food to the market. So we rely now mostly on areas that haven't seen issues with insecurity, and some of the food that we're eating now being imported to the country. So it's definitely a problem. And if you think about it, farming itself is a hard job. It's a hard job. And you need encouragement. You need equipment to be able to lessen the burden of farming. Because it takes a toll on your body. It takes a toll on your mental health. If you can't sell your goods in the market and you can't get a good value for what you're, putting into the market. If the government can help subsidize the farmers, they can provide equipment for farming. We do a lot of subsistence farming, which is not enough to be able to feed the country or feed the whole state. We do a lot of manual labor, and it'll be advantageous to the farmers and to the economy if the government can support the farmers and They can provide equipment for them to be able to expand their farming operations. Now, if you think about it, here you really see a lot of manual labor when it comes to, depending on the kind of crops you're growing. A lot of these crops, they're harvested with an equipment, they're planted with an equipment, the fertilizers are applied by an equipment. But in Nigeria, a farmer will have to pay other laborers to plant, to harvest, and to even fertilize in some cases. So it's a really difficult job. And if you're a small farmer, you can't afford to pay other laborers to do the work for you. You have to do the work yourself. And you're not limited on the amount of crops, amount you can produce, and the amount you can bring to the market to sell to other people. If the government can help out in that aspect, that would actually lessen food insecurity issues in Nigeria. I know, the government is trying, but what they're doing is not enough. The resources are not seen by some local farmers. I'm sure in politics and, wherever you go, there's bureaucracy, and the people at the top are trying their best, but the support is not getting to the people needing it. And to your point of finding a grazing facility for livestock, I also agree with that as well. Yes, in some cases, we're seeing herdsmen taking cows into people's farms, decimating the farms, and the farmers have no recourse. They lose money, they lose time, they lose energy. And that's also a discouragement for them to go to farm, in addition to the insecurity in the country. If we can have a special facility or a dedicated facility for livestock grazing, that would also help out a lot. And a lot of people can go back to farming, and they can continue to bring goods to the market, bring produce to the market, and also help lessen the burden of food insecurity in the country.
Yep. With the setting up a grazing facility, I think I've heard a lot of arguments for and against that, and I tend to tilt towards people that believe that government shouldn't be spending money to set up a grazing facility for the herders or for people that are into livestock business. Argument or one of their reason is because it's a private business. Say you have a business. Let's say you are into buying and selling. You as an individual will spend money to rent a shop for you and then stock your shop. So the government is not coming to rent a shop for you. So in that regard, why would the government be spending money to set up a facility for a private business? So I agree with with those people that believe that livestock business is a private business. So the people that are engaging in those businesses should, spend their money to buy land or acquire land and build their facility for their business. Yeah, that's for that one. Then the issue of insecurity has really affected other sectors of the economy, not just farming. Let's say public transportation. It has really affected that sector real bad. Here in America, you could take a bus, from here to Washington, from here to, maybe Oregon, from here to California. You don't have problem with, insecurity. You could drive your car, from here to, several states. I know a lot of people that used to ride motorcycle across, across the 50 states, and then they don't have problem with insecurity. They don't have problem with somebody stopping. They just go freely. So if the government can take care of that, that would be great, and that will really open up that, sector of the economy, and that sector of the economy would be, booming again. Because like me, let's face it, the last two times my sister went to Abuja and she also went to Lagos. I couldn't afford to put her in a bus from Asaba to Abuja or to Lagos, because I would rather spend like 300,000 or 400,000 to, buy her plane ticket than, risk, putting her on the bus and then end up maybe paying ransom. I would rather buy, spend that 400,000 for for that ticket. Yeah, I think they should take care of that, and that will open that sector. Everybody is not rich. Everybody don't have the money for plane ticket to be flying. And in fact, I don't even think there's a whole lot of investment in the air transportation sector to, that will accommodate everybody for that. So I think they should take care of that insecurity, especially when you're traveling through Delta State, Edo State, all the way to Lagos is a big problem with kidnapping. and they need to take care of that. I also think that this should open the conversation about state policing. Yeah, state policing could help in this aspect. We see how these regional security outfits like Amotekun, Ebubago, yeah, they have been very effective, but the only issue I have with state policing is a lot of power drunk governors could use it to their advantage. If you put that such power in the hands of these governors, it will be a bad situation. It will be counterproductive. They will use it to their political advantage. They will use it to hunt down their political enemies. So in that regard, I do not really subscribe to that state policing. Instead, I would really like them to decentralize the police. Maybe they can adopt the this thing. They can adopt the style we use here. So instead of building a large police station where everybody congregates, if there is a crime being committed somewhere, from the time you call them to the time they show up to the crime scene, it takes a lot of time. So why not just decentralize it, and have like two people patrolling in a vehicle, put them in a two-two, and then have them patrol around. So from the time they call them to their response time, just shorten that time, and it makes them readily available to people to access. It makes them more accessible. I think that will really go a long way in helping, instead of having like a group of 10 or 15 police riding in one vehicle. So just split them into two, and you have one driving and you have one sitting in the passenger seat. And yeah, in the passenger seat, and they just move around. It makes them more accessible to the people. It makes them readily available to deploy if there is a where crime is taking place. So I think those are steps that the federal government can take to take care of this insecurity that has taken over our land.
Yes, I definitely agree with you. I know you've actually brought up some interesting points, and I'd like to start by responding to the policing issue you brought up. We know that the Nigerian police, do not have all the necessary funding that they need. They don't have enough vehicles out there. It's even difficult to fuel their vehicles. We've seen many instances where a citizen will report a crime to the police, and the police will ask the citizen for gas money to fill the gas so they can go investigate the crime that's been reported to them. So, and if you don't have money, if you're one of the less privileged people, you will never get justice. Your case will never be assigned to an investigator to see what's going on, to see if you've been wronged in any way. Lack of funding is a major problem. We don't have the resources to have police out there patrolling. I know when they say they're patrolling, they're actually setting up a roadblock to get money from other citizens. Yeah, so our policing definitely needs a little bit of restructuring in order to make it work for the common people. If the policing can be restructured, like you said, um, have multiple offices in different localities so that their response time can actually be fast. As we know, the response time is not fast at all. Depending on your location, it might take hours before you can get out, before you can see any police officer responding to your calls. And another thing I want to talk about is the first point you made about the government not helping the farmers to a livestock grazing facility. Well, we know that, in some countries, especially in the US, you have access to small business administration loan, SBA loan. It's a loan backed by the government. So something like that can be provided to farmers, especially farmers involved in livestock grazing. So they can have loans that are backed up by the government. And the farmers can use the money to set up a facility for themselves. So the government is not paying for it directly. Now the farmers will still pay for it. But poor farmers with little to no money or with little to no collateral to stand when they need money, when they go to banks for money, that will be an opportunity for them to have access to be able to increase their production, to be able to, provide more goods to the market. And it's going to be a win-win for the government. It will be a win for the citizen and also a win for the farmer as well. Loans like that can help them start up their farming operations. It can help boost their farming operation. A lot of people will benefit from. So the government is not paying to set up a facility for them, but they will be backing their loan up to maybe reduce the interest rate and to give loans to farmers that would otherwise not have access to loans like.
A lot of these institutions in Nigeria or agencies like a police department, a lot of them actually they get good funding. They are funded, they get a very good funding. The problem is that corruption doesn't allow them to channel those money to good use.
Stay tuned for the second part of this conversation. Don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and comment. We look forward to hearing from you. Thanks for watching.